Welcome back. This is the final episode of the Expert Summoner Only playthrough, and it's going to be a long one. Where parts of this video are sped up significantly, I've added a countdown timer for how long they'll last. There are also some time codes for the various boss fights, if you want to skip ahead. If you're wondering, this is still version 1.3 of Terraria. I put off the update so I could continue this series, although the Summoner class got a rework on 1.4, which is a good thing. As you can see, I'm about to fight Plantera, and not for the last time. I actually had a lot of trouble with this boss. Usually I find Plantera is a bit of a pushover if you're dealing reasonable damage, which is why I went into the fight with a lackluster arena. As I'd soon find out, although not as soon as I'd like, I was going to need something much more substantial. I don't have enough room to escape Plantera, and the floor isn't low enough to avoid getting hit by the thorn balls. Plus, I never got around to crafting a pickaxe axe, so I wasn't able to remove the chlorophyte ore, which restricted my movement. I have the DPS meter in my inventory for every fight to monitor my damage output. Right now I'm averaging about 200 damage per second, with a mix of spider and twins minions. Plantera has 42,000 health, so it's more of an endurance challenge than anything else. It may look like I'm getting on okay, but this boss is about to go into phase 2, and I get caught beneath an overhang I'd neglected when clearing out the arena. I quickly lose life, and my attempts to escape using the Shield of Cthulhu result in me shield bashing Plantera's hooks and rebounding straight into the mouth of the boss. I'd like to say I learnt a lot from this experience and went on to the next fight with a smarter approach and managed to take down Plantera. But the truth is, I struggled for almost another 9 hours before finally achieving that. For you, that'll only be about 10 minutes, but if you can't wait that long, just skip ahead to the 12 minutes 11 seconds mark to see when I first take it down. For those of you who've played this game before, you're probably wondering how I managed to take 9 hours to defeat Plantera, and I'm telling you, it was my only goal for the entire time. Well, don't worry, I'll go through every fight and describe the many ways in which I failed so that you can avoid doing those things in your playthroughs. Of course, you probably don't make any of these mistakes, so for you, you can just sit back and enjoy me slowly losing my mind as I try the same thing again and again and again, expecting different results. In this fight, I cleared away too much, and there weren't enough jungle grass tiles to constitute an underground jungle biome in multiple parts of the arena. This causes Plantera to periodically enrage because she doesn't like being away from home. When this happens, the boss lurches forwards and is nearly impossible to avoid. In a state of denial, I continue to move my character into these areas as if they didn't exist, and Plantera punished me for it every time until it showed me the error of my ways. This was pretty disheartening since I put a lot more effort into this arena and yet died a lot quicker. Obviously, this arena wasn't going to work, so I built a more conservative one near the next Plantera bulb that spawned, and I don't need to tell you how long it can take for another bulb to grow. I made sure to dig out the floor of this arena so that I could avoid those dangerous thorn balls that Plantera produces in its first stage. In a way, this arena is a mixture of my first two. I guess you could say I'm learning. Of course you'd be wrong, because this fight went much the same as the last two. I decided to stick with my spider minions for this fight to see how much damage they dealt on their own. They dealt consistently above 200 damage. Although I didn't beat the boss, at least I got that benchmark down for the spider staff. Throughout this video, you'll see me spending a significant amount of time fishing. I'm still using my reinforced fishing pole from the first episode because I never crafted, found, or bought a better one. Plus, the pools of water I'm using aren't ideal, so my overall fishing power is low. Each time I pondered over spending some time building some better fishing spots, but each time I reassured myself that I'd only need to do this one more time. Once I beat Plantera, I'll have no need for potions because I'll be able to upgrade my summoner loadout. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that I've started fishing in the Hallow. This is because I came to the conclusion that I really need life force potions, and for those I need prismite fish, which are rarely found while fishing in the Hallow. Very rarely considering my fishing power. I'd added some mud tiles and planted jungle seeds to grow in an attempt to keep my old arena in the jungle biome. It hadn't spread enough to be very effective, but waiting for it to spread was taking forever, and collecting jungle seeds was an ordeal, so I summoned Plantera again for a fourth time to test my luck. You can probably tell by the fact that it immediately charged at the speed of sound that I wasn't in fact in an underground jungle biome at that time. But my efforts weren't wasted, since Plantera seemed to enrage less often, and I actually got close to beating it. But close isn't good enough. Since the last battle was so close, and another Plantera bulb was nearby, I rushed back and tried again. This time I gave the twins minions a go. It did appear that they were doing more damage than the spiders, although the DPS meter is a little unreliable in the way that it tracks damage per second. I'm sorry to say, this attempt was much worse than the last one, but I don't attribute that to using the optic stuff. I simply didn't play as well. I stayed with this arena for a while since the jungle grass seeds were slowly spreading, and I'd had the most success with it so far. I added some platform pillars to hook onto in order to improve my maneuverability. At this point, I figured a brute force approach would work, and that if I just kept trying, eventually I'd succeed. I think this mindset is the main reason that defeating Plantera took 9 hours. Again, I chose the twins since the DPS meter showed them to be more damaging, and they're less likely to get distracted by Plantera's hooks. The pillars actually worked very well for the most part, but when it came to Plantera's second phase, I simply didn't have enough vertical space to get around it when it pushed me into a corner. That last attempt was enough to push me into making a new arena, that and the fact that the next Plantera bulb spawned miles away. I decided to forget trying to spread jungle seeds, and just to increase the size of my arena dramatically. It didn't work, and I concluded that if Plantera was going to enrage at any point during the fight, I was probably going to lose too much health to be able to recover before I die. Since the problem with the last arena was getting around Plantera, I added some teleporters so that I could loop around it instead. It was a nice idea, but I didn't have a lot of experience using teleporters, and I got stuck trying to use one. And while that happened, Plantera took the opportunity to chip me down. I set out a pirate invasion while I reflected on my last 8 attempts to fight Plantera. I'd spent so long just trying to take down this one boss, which holds the literal key to unlocking some major upgrades to my summoner. I decided enough was enough, and that my next attempt was going to be successful at any cost, short of using exploits or extremely cheesy methods. I took inspiration from the video game Badger and decided to build a huge arena with rectangles of jungle grass tiles in order to maintain the jungle biome, as well as installing some minecart tracks which could be grappled to but allow you to fall freely through them. I should mention at this point that I consider using damaging accessories while you summon your minions and then switching to defensive or movement accessories to be an exploit, even though it's widely considered as a valid strategy for a summoner. I don't, however, judge anyone if they decide to employ this strategy. I flooded the bottom of my arena with lava in order to prevent jungle enemies from spawning. If you didn't know, even flying enemies and worms require a solid block to spawn on. When my arena was finally ready, I took all of my potions and broke the nearest Plantera bulb. I was sure I was going to defeat it this time, but in my haste I ran too far from the boss and it despawned. Another bulb was nowhere to be seen, and so it was back to fishing to replenish the potions I'd wasted. I took it slowly on my next attempt. I wasn't going to make the same mistake again. Of course, the moment I took my potions, I got hit twice by a turtle and nearly died to a cave bat that my minions neglected. I decided to go ahead and summon Plantera anyway because I thought my new arena would carry me through, and I really didn't want to drive myself insane fishing for potion ingredients again. The arena worked perfectly, and in fact I found myself having to slow down so that Plantera would be in range of my minions. The fight certainly wasn't fast, and it highlights some of the problems with the DPS meter. For instance, there are large periods of time where my minions aren't dealing any damage, but since the DPS stays on its last reading, for obvious reasons, it doesn't reflect this. Here comes the real battle, Plantera's second form. The arena meant that it couldn't get close to me. The fight still wasn't trivial. Plantera's ability to pivot on a planted hook means that it can travel extremely quickly within its circumference, but there was no time during the fight that I came close to dying like I had 8 times before. With Plantera dead, the battle still wasn't won. In order to unlock the summoner equipment from the Witch Doctor, The player needs to have the pygmy staff in their inventory. The staff is only a 50% drop from Plantera in expert mode, and if it doesn't drop, I'll need to beat Plantera again. Knowing this, I was very hesitant to open the treasure bag. No pygmy staff. Plantera had won after all. I ventured into the temple, not to fight Golem, but to collect solar tablets. One good thing about Plantera being dead is that solar eclipses now spawn deadly spheres, which have a chance to drop the deadly sphere staff, which is an upgrade over the optic staff. As you can see, the deadly sphere staff is a definite improvement and will make the Plantera battle a lot quicker. Take a look at the DPS meter. The deadly sphere staff is dealing roughly double the damage of the optic staff. The one drawback is that it looks like you need to be closer to the boss for them to start targeting it. I consider this an advantage for general gameplay though. I checked to see if there are any more bulbs before opening the treasure bag so that I could break them immediately if I didn't get the pygmy staff, so that I wouldn't have to go fishing again. Along with this, I didn't magic mirror home before checking. I got it. If you check my hotbar, the 9th item is the pygmy staff. I didn't notice at first because that's where my treasure bag was originally, so I went to summon another Plantera. On the journey back to my arena, I somehow entered a corruption biome which instantly despawned Plantera. This was pretty frustrating until I noticed the pygmy staff. I had enough money to buy the Tiki armor and a Hercules beetle. I'd be returning later to buy another Hercules beetle and the pygmy necklace, but I had enough for now to be happy fighting Golem. The fight went down without a hitch, as you can expect with Golem. It was the first time I didn't feel underpowered as a summoner. The only item I really needed from Golem was a pigsaw, but it ended up giving me 3 possessed hatchets. The really exciting thing about defeating Golem is that it unlocks the Martian invasion, and with that comes the Xeno Staff, widely considered the second best summoner weapon. I also got the Cosmic Car Key. The benefit of the Summoner class is that the Martian invasion can't touch you, and you can unleash your full firepower towards the UFO mini-bosses. I actually ended up getting 2 Xenostaffs from this one invasion. As it turns out, your minions won't attack a cultist devotee, or archer, even if they're attacking you. It really makes me question their allegiance. Because of this, I had to make an exception and use a non-summoner weapon to spawn the lunatic cultist. I don't think I realised I had wings equipped, because wings are a lot more effective in boss battles than the Cosmic Car mount. I wasn't expecting a difficult fight. The cultists' attacks aren't that hard to dodge, and the UFO minions deal a lot of damage and never miss. One thing I hadn't anticipated was that your summons won't attack the cultist when it creates illusions of itself, even if you right-click to target it. You in fact can never target the cultist with your staff. This means that the cultist will cast all of its additional spells, which makes the battle a lot more difficult. The strategy in this case is to focus entirely on damage and to try and get the fight over with as quickly as possible. Even though the lunatic cultist only takes 75% of the damage from minion attacks, at this stage in the game, increasing your minion damage is easy. The Pumpkin Moon event provides multiple amazing summoner items. When journeying into the temple, I had a natural King Slime spawn, which was unexpected. What was even more unexpected was what followed. One of my minions unintentionally attacked a cultist archer, before another natural King Slime spawned and pushed me back out of the dungeon. The cultist archer then camouflaged itself inside the swarm of slimes and took me out. I equipped an Avenger emblem for extra damage, and then tried my luck with another cultist fight since they respawn every day. Turns out, you can't fight them at night. It wasn't a big deal since I was planning on doing a Pumpkin Moon event before spawning the Celestial Pillars anyway. I didn't get anything exciting from the pumpkin moon, but I did gather a lot of spooky wood. Not enough to craft a full set of spooky armor, but enough that I will be able to after one more pumpkin moon event. I got every possible summoner item from the second event, including 2 necromantic scrolls, which means I can keep one and use the other to craft a papyrus scarab. The raven staff is a fun summoning item, but the ravens aren't as good as the UFO minions in most cases. I equipped a pygmy necklace, papyrus scarab, avenger emblem, summoner emblem, necromantic scroll, and Hercules beetle, 3 of which reforged to menacing and 2 reforged to angry, as well as a full set of spooky armor. That with the Wrath Potion, Well-Fed buff, Summoning Potion, and Bewitching table are close to the maximum amount of damage you can deal as a pre-cultist summoner. The only upgrade would be reforging 2 angry accessories to Menacing, and my Demonic Xenostaff to Ruthless. Now I'm absolutely ready for the cultist, there's no doubt about that. The only downside is that the spooky armor only provides 27 defense compared to the Tiki armor's 35, and it provides 1 less extra minion. Even considering this, its damage output is still superior. After we melted the lunatic cultist, I headed straight for the Stardust Pillar. With my buff still applied, you can really see just how powerful this loadout is. We're sitting in a celestial pillar biome and nothing can hurt us. This is undoubtedly the peak of the summoner playthrough so far. I crafted the Stardust Dragon Staff, and with its first reforge got the Ruthless prefix, the best modifier for it. We're almost ready for the Moonlord, but first I need to farm gel for asphalt blocks. I'm planning on building a 1000 block runway with teleporters on either side to form an infinite loop. The roof is to block the Moonlord's death ray. You could equally remove it and fly above the Moonlord's central eye when he's about to fire, but I find that to be more difficult, and I like to be constrained to the arena. Unfortunately, the last steps before summoning the Moonlord are to defeat the Nebula and Solar Pillars, at least in the order that I've defeated them here. The Solar Pillar isn't usually that difficult, but when you're relying on your minions to protect you from the enemies on the ground, it becomes a huge challenge. So enjoy some relaxing music while watching the character die a few dozen times. I won't be using my high damage loadout for the Moonlord, since I need wings for maneuverability. I've also equipped the Shield of Cthulhu for its dodging ability, but I didn't end up using it really. I noticed my runway was in the middle of a sandstorm. This wasn't ideal, so I grabbed some explosives and removed the sand from the surface. And that was it for our summoner. He could finally relax. The Moonlord dropped a rainbow crystal staff with its best modifier. I don't know if you noticed, but during the fight, the character's life got down to 1 HP. I tunnel visioned on the central eye and made no attempt to dodge any of the 2 true Eye of Cthulhu's attacks. It makes me grateful that I didn't have enough gold to reforge my wings from warding to menacing, and that I placed all of these campfires and heart lanterns and applied all of my buffs, because without any one of them, I would be dead.